Hello and welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott. This is our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. I'm in Front Royal, Bentonville area of Virginia, but we also have some folks from around the country joining us. First up, we're going to go to a ferry somewhere, I'm not sure where, Connecticut or something, I don't know. He's on a boat somewhere.
Massachusetts today.
Massachusetts, okay. Normally in New York, but now he's campaigning for Mitt Romney and in Massachusetts or something. I'm just kidding. Okay, so anyway, we got the first thing we want to talk about is I guess Vic's doing a media tour. Vic Indotra, Vice President of Google for Google Plus, and there was an interview in the New York Times which followed the story, I guess a week, 10 days ago in the Wall Street Journal that everyone spends 3 minutes on Google Plus, and we discussed how if you took all the people that have an account through whatever means, you know, getting an Android phone, etc., and then divide the total amount. But we know that there's a core group of people who use it a lot. But they came up with a number, and so now there's these negative stories, and we've progressed from will the Muppets save Google Plus, I suppose. But anyway, Alan, tell us about this New York Times article and some of the numbers that Vic Indotra threw out.
Well, it was a very positive piece for Google Plus, obviously, since it went and interviewed Vic to get some of its information. I think it pretty much repeated several of the numbers that we've heard already, the 100 million active users. One of the numbers that he mentioned this time, which I don't think we've heard before, was that, if I remember correctly, 50 million users used a Google Plus enabled service daily. So that certainly sounds like it puts a lie to the 3 minutes of engagement a month. I think the big cautionary tale here, and it's a cautionary tale that the article brought up as well, is that is a Google Plus enabled service, not Google Plus itself. And I think that's important to understand because it shows how Google themselves are thinking about this whole product. And it's something that we've heard before, they've told us many times, but these numbers really start to drive it home that Google Plus is not a service unto itself. Google Plus is just part of the entire Google framework, and everything is going to be part of it. One of the comments from it was either this article or another article from gaming developers is that in a year we're not going to recognize Google Plus because it's going to be just part of everything else that we're doing with Google right now. And I think that's really exciting, and that's really the most important thing to take away from this, is that people who are talking about comparing Google Plus to Facebook or comparing Google Plus to Twitter, they just don't get it. Google Plus is something completely different.
They've always said that, right? They've always said it's not Google Plus, it's Google. We've shipped the Plus part. Now we're working on the Google part. I mean, it's vague. I'm not really sure what the heck they're talking about. I guess they have some sort of vision that they're working toward because they're spending, billions of dollars on it. But what do you think? I mean, what do you envision it in a year?
Well, I think we're already seeing hints of what we're going to see in a year. We've seen how it's begun to start creeping into search results with Search Plus Your World. We've started seeing how your circles will have impact in how you deal with Google Voice. I picture things like in a year from now, we're going to see things like YouTube have a much more social component. You're going to be picking channels based on your circles. Things like that are very much outside the way we think of these things today.
They're definitely they're evolving rapidly. Let me go to Oleg and see, what are your thoughts on the article and sort of the direction Alan's talking about, that Google Plus and Google merging and becoming Google 2.0?
Yeah, so basically Vic is going to be out of the job, sounds like, so he's probably doing the interviews all over the place because Google Plus is going away. No, seriously, I think I definitely concur with Alan's feelings on the subject. It's very clear to see that they're incorporating all these different components into all these applications. And the example, for example, I can bring up myself that was very useful was yesterday. I have a business opportunity video that I have on one of my websites where people can sign up and get some information about this business opportunity. And so I get some of these things that are spam from this particular opt-in page. And so yesterday I get one of these emails, and the name is very strange. And typically when you get strange names and people that fill out your forms, it's typically spam. But in this particular case, it was very eye-opening because it was an email that had on the right side there in my Gmail, it had the Google Plus account information. It had the person's picture. It had the link to their, I could call them, I could email them, I could look at their profile, I could look at their posts, and that's exactly what I did right from that one email that I got. And so this integration they have together, instead of me deleting that particular message thinking, oh, it was another spam deal, it was actually a real person, and I actually got a bunch of information because of that. So it's very beginning to become more and more useful having all this integration coming in with other Google services and kind of Google Plus morphing into something much bigger than just it by itself with all this different data kind of and search and everything else, where we are entering into a whole new experience of how we're dealing with people, how we're seeing people, what we're able to do, looking at what people like, looking at the people that we like and we know what they like. And so I think it's going to be a very transformational experience in a lot of ways going forward.
Srik, what do you think about, I was in a TGI Fridays restaurant, and a couple of my buddies were there. I hadn't talked to them in a couple weeks or whatever. And they said, yes, I see your Google Plus stuff on Facebook all the time, because I have an auto post. Everything I post here goes to Twitter and then goes to Facebook. And then every few weeks I go to Facebook and look and see what might have happened there. But they said, yeah, they don't really use it or whatever. And they've tried it and they were posting for a little while, but are we judging it differently? Like, should we be looking at it in terms of how they're engaging versus Facebook, or how do you envision where we are, from whence we began? What was it, May or June or whatever?
Well, can you hear me? Yeah. Adding on to what Alan and Oleg said, I think we are just at the beginning of what they didn't say is what Vic and Dotra called as the social layer. They don't really want to, if you look at what Google says, they don't really want to call it a social network. They are building a platform or a layer above, as of now, all the successful Google products. I'm not really sure we're going to immediately see this social connectivity across all these products immediately, but sooner or later, I don't know how many of you actually use Picasa. If you actually share an album in Picasa, and if somebody comments on it, right now, I did it. I shared an album with my family last week, and now all the comments on it, I see it on my Google Plus stream. So we might not be realizing it, but I think each day they are integrating it more and more tighter. Who knows, tomorrow your YouTube comments, now you put YouTube comments, it shows up on your YouTube site, right? You go to YouTube and you see the comments.
Right.
Tomorrow you probably will see it in the stream directly.
Okay, Srik, you saw another thing, and before I go to Jeff, Bruce, and Pam, and Anthony, who's hiding from us, but tell me, you saw this thing that I guess Guy Kawasaki did a hangout with Vic. Did you watch that? What was that about? Are you there? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Am I muted?
He muted his mic.
No, you're unmuted.
We can hear you.
Srik is zoned out. Maybe he's on a ferry in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff? That
I'll
awkward feeling when you're talking to someone and they can't hear you.
Yeah. First of all, I agree with what everyone said, but that's why Google, and we've been talking about this. It's just going to be one unified layer, as everyone said. But that's why they went the lawyer route and had the service agreement be unified. That's the first thing they had to do, and that's why they did it. And now they're just following suit and making all their products integrated to each other. And yes, you'll be able to post something one place and see it someplace else, and that's what they want. And they don't want it to be Google Plus, even though that's a tagline. It's just going to be Google, and I firmly agree with everybody here that that's where it's heading, and they're taking that ship slowly down that ocean, and it's just going to be great. I'm glad we're all part of that.
That's a nice dramatic illustration.
As for slowly,
go ahead.
That's
Alan and Pam.
One of the things that I'm really hopeful about when they were they kind of pushed through this merging of all of the terms of service. I'm really hopeful the fact that they pushed through with it, they went ahead with it on schedule. I'm kind of hoping that's a sign that they want to get the rest of it going as quickly as they can as well. So hopefully we'll see things speeding up more. That's a personal hope, not a prediction.
And I just want to add that if you look at the Google Plus social, originally, to be very honest, I thought that some of the search results, I mean, I might be following like 1,000 people. Some of the search results were a little skewed towards what people in my circles were posting. My belief is, as more content is generated or posted in Google Plus, the search plus social is going to be more relevant. Because if I'm following Alan and I actually trust what Alan plus wants or posts, what I search for, and if I find that in a search result from what Alan posted, over a period of time, I think search plus social is going to be much more relevant than a regular universal search. That's what I think.
Okay, one quick comment here, and then I'm gonna throw it to Pam. What about not intermingling too many things together? When my Android phone started merging things with Google Plus, etc., I didn't care for it. This is when you add people to circles in Gmail and then they show up in your phone's contact lists. Yeah, that's something that's interesting, because I do see they keep changing things, and there was this I forget how they referred to it. I don't know who referred to it, so I'm stealing someone's concept without attribution. I apologize. I'm aggregating, but they said it's not so much new releases. There's no version number of Google Plus. It's just slowly or rapidly, incrementally changing, because it's web-based. So you kind of all of a sudden you see, like I went to the Hangout, and now there were these giant pictures of people. I'm not sure how it's based, and I could click on them to add them, to invite them to the Hangout. I hadn't seen that before. It's just strange, and the way your phone sort of merges together, and you end up with about 38,000 contacts on your Android phone for anyone you've ever met, or on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. They're all there. Pam, what do you think, just I guess about the general direction? I mean, there's been these negative stories. What are your thoughts about that? And, are you happy with what you're seeing so far?
Overall, I'm happy. I'm not a big techie type of person, and I don't troll YouTube. I'm not interested too much in I'll watch a video if someone posts it, but I'm not really that into it. I don't use Google Music, and I think that there's a lot of things that that are good, but the Android phone thing, all the contacts, for example, I mean, that sucked up all the memory on my phone. I had no idea it was happening, and until, of course, I think Alan, I was watching Google Plus Week, and I think he explained, or somebody explained, how to get rid of the people who you no longer even know.
I think you could filter it, right? Alan, you said you had something about the Android, but can't you filter that so it's not? I mean, it'll straight up, like in Gmail or your Google contacts, it'll straight up crash Chrome if you try to do anything with your contacts, because I've got, I don't know, like 35,000 contacts. I didn't know I knew that many people.
Well, I think what this points to is that there are still a lot of issues that they need to iron out, and this is a mistake that they made. This is a bug, and it's they need to be able to make circle management and contact management not necessarily separate, but they need to more clearly delineate that sometimes when you've got a person in a circle, you don't need them in a general contact. Sometimes when you have them, circles mean a lot of different things. And sometimes it means these are people who you do want to treat as a contact group. And sometimes it means these are just people that you're following. You're never going to send a message to them. I don't think Google fully understood that when they started. And more they're learning it. And they need to finish pushing out this kind of integration through all of their products. But so far, that's one of the big mistakes that they've made. And they need to learn the lesson and move on.
My sister-in-law works at Google, and part of their metric system is Google Plus, is how active they are on it and how many people they circle and things like that. And that is one of their performance.
I think they said all the
So
bonuses
it's
and
kinda
everything is
interesting.
tied to the performance of that. They want the whole company on board thinking
Yeah.
about it, which
Yeah.
is more evidence of what Alan was saying, what we heard from the very beginning, that this isn't just a product from Google. This is the social tie-in that will, take all the disparate services
But
and make them one entity, which Alan is referring, and I've
but
heard
you,
Google.
Well, I don't think
I
it's
think
quite that. It's not going to make it one entity. It's just going to add a social layer to things that you're doing in various applications. It's not going to be like one entity in terms of, then you run this particular application, and
yeah.
I mean, you're still going to be doing email as email, and you're still going to be doing something else, but the social part integration will be in there. Today I was
Yeah,
setting up a client for Google Apps, for example, migrating their emails and migrating their domain to Google Apps. So I showed them, their Gmail screen, and it didn't have any contacts yet. So I typed in my name, and as soon as I typed in my name, which of course it's a brand new domain, there's nothing there for that particular account, immediately my picture popped up from Google Plus, and then down below there were all the links that I have on my profile. So she instantly had all this information already coming from Google Plus profile from me, even though that domain is not tied to me in any way, shape, or form. So
Yeah, but
this is an example of how they're integrating social part to other applications that are running right now.
Yeah, my
I
point
think you
is
will
that,
start to see more of a blur, Oleg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, for example, there's a very distinct separation between the videos that we have as part of Google Plus and YouTube videos, and I think we're going to see that blurring. Right now, posting a blog on Blogger and the post that we make on Google Plus, and I think we're going to see that blurring.
Right.
They're going to see as
But
much blurring, but I think more and more you're going to see it blur together.
Yeah, but my point is that all the employees are invested in making it work. So everyone at Google seems to be pushing that content towards the Google Plus arena. So that's why you're going to get a lot of these different things pop up from time to time that isn't, 100% thought out. It's not a grand plan. It's pretty much everyone doing something at different times. That was
This
my
kind of,
point.
yeah, he clearly said that they were going to tie everything to the performance of Google Plus at Google. But this kind of, the interesting name change, the segue for the Android market to Google Play, that's not just a name change, is it? Right? Who wants to jump in on this? What's the reason for this, Oleg?
It's hard to say, because if you think about it, on one hand, it makes sense. I mean, and you had Microsoft use this term. I mean, there's different people who use these terms. There was a company called Play a while back. I mean, the whole Play thing, I mean, it's kind of, you can say play games-wise, it makes sense. People play games. When you say play movies, that's a little bit less relevant than play games. When you say play books, that's completely irrelevant. Nobody plays books. So it's kind of on one hand, it's kind of a neat way to integrate everything together, but on the other hand, I don't know if necessarily the word play is such a great term, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line, they're using something short. I know it's something that Alan loves because it's a 4-letter word, and at the same time, they're trying to combine all these different entities into a single piece while making it similar to, if you were going to do Mac analogies, it's similar to basically an iTunes and iCloud in one place. I mean, that's one way to look at it.
Hey, I almost want to go to my Julia Child's voice. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Google has a recipe, and in that recipe, there's all these ingredients. And when Alan was talking about integration, I was thinking about the mixing of all these ingredients, and it's still cooking in the oven. They know what's going to come out. It's kind of like going to a Morrison's or a Piccadilly cafeteria. They have you walk down the line, and if you need documents, if you need spreadsheets, if you need Hangouts, if you need Google Voice, if you need Google Music, I use all of those, and they're creating an environment where people can come and get comfortable with. I'll tell you what, my main thing with Google Plus was using the Google Hangouts, but having immersed myself in some of these different public Hangouts, it has increased the integrity of my circles and has given me more motivation to post to different people in different circles. And so these ingredients, as they mix and integrate together, it remains to be seen. They know what they're cooking, and they know what the ingredients are, and they know whether it's going to have to cook for an hour at 400 or whatever. I know every illustration breaks down, but I think a word picture for me really helps me to kind of see the integration of all this, if that makes sense.
Your preacher
Yeah.
training is
Also,
coming out,
Google
Bruce,
Play
because
is
you're
trying to
drawing
make it-
these great analogies to illustrate your point. Bruce is a good speaker. Let me throw a quick thing and then back to Oleg or Jeff, whoever was talking. This is from George in Holland, who's watching us. George Kozi, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Tell me if it's not. I don't know if it's Kozi or Kozi. Kozi, like, let's get cozy, or Kozi, like, whatever. But he said,
Crosby.
yeah, like Bing Crosby. But George said, will we soon stop saying I'm on the internet and start saying I'm on Google? I'm sure Vic would support that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And but then he said, this is an interesting comment here too. All this is from George as well in Holland. All this Google integration is about one thing: the presence of the person on the internet across the products. It's not about the software; it's about the user. Google will be user-centric very soon. I think it's kind of saying what we've been saying.
says it well.
And then someone else wants to know if we're going to talk about this horrible new +1 button at some point. But you guys, you were, I guess, still going on this other thing. I just want to throw a couple viewer comments.
Yeah, I just think the Google Play thing is just, their one click, make it easy to do something thing, to buy an app, to get a movie, and it's very, the Android market, it's kind of just putting all that stuff together, and that's
right, centralized place, but they are trying to definitely do Apple out or
Yeah,
do Apple
exactly.
in,
Or Amazon or what-
by
whoever.
doing that. So I mean, it's clearly that they're going after, Apple. One of the things that Apple did right was put together the iTunes and this latest iCloud, even though it's not as slick as some other services, but and that's I think what Google specifically is striking at is to show that you can have the centralized place for all your media in one place with us as well, and that's what the Play is.
And it's also about branding. A lot of people, looking at Android marketplace as a separate thing. It's also fundamentally the centralization of the Google Plus platform is involved in this Google Play. They wanna introduce the name Google in everything they do. So,
Right.
so that's where it's coming from. And I don't know how successful Google Music is. I believe that they're throwing some great deals right now.
Yeah.
I believe there's a lot of purchasing happening there, but by putting it all together and putting the brand name on that, they want to really show that Android market is not really a separate thing,
Well, I think also what they're doing with this deal is not only that they're striking a blow towards Apple, they're also striking a blow against Amazon and also striking a blow against other people who are trying to do their own Android markets. Because before you had Android market from Google, and you had Amazon and other players, AT&T has their own deal, things like that. Now with this integration with Play, the other people cannot match the same breadth that Google provides because they just don't have all the stuff. And one of the posts I read, I don't remember who wrote it, said why isn't Amazon doing the same thing considering that they have the books and the music and everything else? And it's a good question. It's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Since they have the Android market and they have books and they have music and they have movies now, it'll be interesting to see how Amazon potentially comes out with something similar to Google Play. So maybe they're trying to precede it and try to distance themselves and make, basically grab as much of the market share as they can. That's another possibility.
Alan, did you want to weigh in? Is your Google working?
He can't play.
He just left.
He's no longer on Play.
No Play for Alan. Yeah.
No Play for Alan.
You're going to have to give him another chance when he gets back.
I think Bruce has a thought.
Bruce, go ahead.
Well, just going back to, I was just trying to look up some words to see if I could just kind of embellish a little bit more. There's the idea of this, an ecology, a habitat, where people find themselves comfortable. It's like that recliner that you broke in or that pair of shoes that you broke in. It's a place, when department stores first came into vogue, where you could buy not just food and furniture, but everything that you needed. And I think they're creating a habitat that's going to draw people in, and you're not going to need to really go many other places.
But here's the interesting distinction, Bruce. The difference being is that when you do have places like Walmart's or Sears and everything else, you have a bunch of competition.
Yep.
when you look at Google, there really isn't anybody out there that can show the same breadth of services and capabilities that Google has.
Well, it's
There's
kind of
nobody
like
there.
it's kind of like America versus Europe. You know, Europe has to band together, right, to have their economy as strong as the United States. So it's going to be the same idea that, you know, lots of different smaller, like Amazon's going to have their deal, Apple have their deal, Hulu will have their deal. All these, you know, they're all going to be in a competitive.
But Jeff, they don't have the same thing. Apple doesn't have search.
They don't need to have the same thing. They need to have better things in certain ways. Like Amazon, the deal of the day is like you could rent J. Edgar for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But that's not. That doesn't. Is that going to make you switch services because of that?
No, but is it going to let me watch it at will? Yeah, sure. I'll watch J. Edgar for 99 cents versus $3.99 on Google Plus right now on Google Play. Yeah.
Provided Amazon improves the quality of the video.
No, but you know what I'm saying. That's what it comes down to. It's going to be you're going to be on all these different services, and you're going to pick which one you want at the best deal.
Hey, they may not be exactly alike, but they are cousins. They are all related. They all know where they want to go. They all know who they want to bring in this inclusive thing.
But the difference, though, Bruce, this is Google. I still say
the difference is minimal. I would say
Google is distinctly on their own in that deal, because if you look at all the services they provide, there's nobody, not a single service that can match them at this point in time.
But no one uses Google exclusively. I don't use. Do you use Google exclusively? No, I don't.
No.
And I will never use them exclusively.
Well,
that's right.
Choose different services.
Google doesn't have Amazon's selling capability now.
No.
I think what Jeff is trying to ask you is, will you rent a J. Edgar movie for 99 cents from Amazon or $3.99 from Google?
Well, but the better question, Srik, would be, would Google do the same 99-cent sale when they see Amazon doing it? And the answer would be, of course they will.
Well,
of course they will.
But they don't.
Go ahead.
Have they? No. But it's just competition, and you're going to go where the marketplace dictates. Just like you didn't wait for a Google tablet, you bought an Amazon Prime.
Right.
You don't have a Nexus phone.
No, but Google is not going to be providing everything and anything in terms of. I mean, that's impossible.
That's my point. That's my.
But
point.
At the same time, if you're looking about computer services, I mean, forgetting about buying specific things, you're looking from this in terms of what being offered. I don't see how there's any other player in the market that can do what Google is doing. If you look at everything, if you look at Google Apps, if you look at the media, if you look at, at search, all of this, nobody has the same thing they have.
And then and then why did Vic go to New York Times to have be interviewed?
But
right,
Oleg,
yes,
there is a really good saying that says, a jack of all trades and a master of none. How many services and products is Google going to do? And then if they are able to carpet the market, how good are they going to be in any single one?
Very
Netflix
good.
And
now, if they're gonna
so far they've certainly done a phenomenal job, in my opinion.
I'm not happy with their Google Music at all.
Because
I don't think versus even Amazon. I would much rather go to.
Why are you not happy? Because there's no selection?
Yes.
Okay, I agree with you on that. I agree with you totally.
Oleg, should I quote you what you said when I think you said this doesn't change the fact that Google's music sucks and Spotify doesn't. Your famous quote about Google. Your quick summation.
No, but that was my complaint before. I totally agree with Pam. They need to beef up the catalog. But that's doable. They just need to make more things available. You don't need to invent a new technology to put more music on Google Music. I mean, that's.
Right now, even if all these applications have independent market leaders, for example, Amazon, I think is right now the king of online selling. I mean, I am a dedicated Amazon user. I'm a Google fan. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. But what I'm trying to say is it actually good for the consumer if you look at it from a different way? I mean, for what Pam asked, is Google going to do everything? Probably they are. They are in Kansas City delivering optical fiber, cable. They bought Motorola Mobility, so we're going to see hardware coming from them. They will try everything. They have I believe, the capital to do all this.
Absolutely.
Plus
So
and they have the intent.
they push the market. You know, you have the Amazon Kindle Fire, which is a $200 tablet, and you know that's out there because Google made it possible, both by first of all putting out the software, making it capable, and then also flooding. I mean, I know that obviously Apple is selling tons more tablets than Google is, but Google is definitely selling tablets. They're offering the operating system that is running the Kindle Fire, and I just read today that they're I always say this company's name wrong,
Asus.
but yeah, thank
Asus
you.
is coming out.
With a 250 or even as low as a $200 tablet that's going to absolutely crush the Kindle Fire specs. And Google pushes the market. Even cell phones.
But are they pushing the market, or are they trying to kill Apple?
They're doing it at the same
kill
time.
Apple,
But Apple's responding. You see the
It's
price
like-
decrease. Apple's responding. They've dropped the iPad 2 down, and iPad 1. I mean, I guess you can't buy them new, but the 2's down cheap. It's approaching the
50 to
price of a
$100.
Kindle.
I mean,
iPad 1 right now is being sold as a self-defense weapon.
why just Apple? Why just Apple? Anybody knows what is Amazon's ad revenue?
I have no clue.
Take a guess. What is Amazon's ad revenue?
When you say ad revenue,
I
you mean
don't
from
know.
Fires? From their tablets?
I don't know. I just read that Amazon made $1 billion in ad revenue.
In what period of time?
That I don't know. Maybe it's annual. Maybe it's 2011. I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is, Amazon is the silent killer here.
Absolutely, there's no question. They said that they did extremely well during Christmas, and they definitely confirmed, the experts who look at that stuff, that Amazon was definitely ate a part of Apple's pie during this Christmas. No question about it.
So it's not just Google going after Apple. They're already. I mean, they have multiple enemies. They have Facebook on the social side.
Well, you got Facebook, you got Microsoft. I mean, obviously, all of those people are still in play. No
You guys
question
are
about it.
agreeing with what I said.
Here's the bottom line. Who cares who is crushed in the process, whether it be Apple, Google, Microsoft, whoever, as long as quality products at reasonable prices are coming out with software that I like. I don't care who's the market leader. I just want to like the software, have good hardware at a reasonable price. I don't care if Apple leads the market if they have software I like. I don't care if Google does it. And maybe I hate it if Microsoft does, but
Hey, take it easy.
I don't care who leads the market.
For everybody in the audience, keep supporting Microsoft and Amazon because they're Seattle companies. We need the economy here going, so keep buying.
Okay, let me go from
And don't forget Boeing, right?
exactly.
And one.
For the Alan, the private jet that Alan obviously doesn't have because he's stuck in a ferry with like dial-up internet or something. Okay, I want to switch gears here. This is a really interesting post that came from Jason. Man, is it? I think it's Salas. I actually watched one of his things on YouTube just to get the name pronunciation right because he hasn't been on the show yet. He keeps finding excuses like coaching or I think it's like 80 degrees and sunny in Guam, and so he doesn't want to hang out with us geeks in a hangout. But he watches the show frequently. But he said he would love to have us hit on this topic, and he posted it on his page on Google Plus today. But what he said, this is about the Coney 2012 thing, right? That the viral video, which I have not seen yet because I was actually working and did not have the lecture yet. But I've lived in Africa for 2 years in West Africa, and I saw a lot of. I mean, it's rough. There's a bunch of people there who don't value human life like we do. They're stoned out of their mind. In Liberia, I saw a guy beat to death about 50, 100 yards from me. A guy tried to get me to, I don't know if he wanted to eat me or sell me or kill me or whatever from a cab I was in. I was like 8th grade kid. And the cab driver wouldn't let him have me. It was just, we had a fire next door, and the fire department came and stood around waiting for the landlord to come out and bribe the firefighters to go in and fight the fire. It's a different place, and you wouldn't understand it in America or in Europe they don't value human life the way we do. Not everybody, but some folks, right? So it's a whole different thing. And there's been some backlash on this video in Uganda. There's an interesting story. You should look like Uganda backlash or whatever about that. They're not putting in perspective. But again, I haven't seen the video, so I'm not going to comment on that. But this is really interesting. Jason was in his TV studio, KUAM News in Guam, and his 15-year-old niece comes in, as she often does, and wants to use a computer. So she immediately, of course, gets on Facebook. And so he says, oh, yeah, that's my tie-in to put this on Google Plus Week, because she didn't use Google Plus. So anyway, she says, 40 seconds into it, she says, hey, Uncle Jason, who's Coney? And then follows up with, so he's like Hitler then. And then she said, can I use another computer? I really want to watch this video about Coney, and this one doesn't have speakers. Well, there wasn't any terminal with speakers, so she, whatever. So then Jason is also logged into Facebook and shortly noticed a slew of notifications, all from his niece. She invited him to a Coney 2012 event. She shared the video. She liked the Invisible Children fan page. She updated her status to pledge support to the movement. She commented on Coney 2012 posts from her friends. All rapid-fire social activities, all helping to spread the word about the cause, all integrating her social graph, all without looking up who Joseph Coney is, or watching the trailer, or being in any way cognizant of what she had just endorsed. I can totally picture this happening, right? Nice 15-year-old girl, upset about this, and so she shares it. And he says, Jason says, this happens online these days in great volume all the time, with so many people from issues threatening the global economy to funny memes, what Disney princess you look like. If you were a tree, what tree? This is the essence of activism as we see it today in the age of the social web, with platforms as dominant as Facebook effectively being virtual societal infrastructure. It reminds me of last year's Occupy movement, which I admired but also criticized for so many people getting behind so passionately, and yet not everyone actually understanding the core argument. Nonetheless, the cause still got its spotlight time. As a marketer, this is Jason. I greatly appreciate the value of the brisk exponential awareness created by so many people standing for a cause, but I can't help but be concerned about the calculus and who actually truly gets the issue as more people join the movement being minimal. Still, I have to remind myself that blind support at the end of the day is still support. It's an interesting problem to have. So at internet speed and scale, and even with the virtual engagement on the social web being between trusted identities, does comprehension really matter? The world is made aware of something's existence, and that's the critical first and arguably most difficult step in bringing about change. This is very interesting observation, and obviously it's funny that to notice his niece just said, so this guy's bad, right? And then she does rapid-fire posts about this movement, which she has really no idea what, except, it's bad against kids. What are your thoughts on this? Oleg or Alan or anybody? Bruce?
You know what? I just want to make one quick point. Invisible Children, which is the group that's behind this Coney 2012 thing, they're using 31% of their funds, as I'll call them, on the ground. Meanwhile, you can donate to the Red Cross, and I don't know if you can do this, but designate your funds towards, dealing with this problem. And almost 92% of that money goes on the ground. And then an additional 8% goes to additional fundraising, so you're getting even more money, and then administrators.
Yeah, there's some things, and we don't. I know. I think Fox News did a story. I didn't read. I saw the headline, which I try never to do that. Just talk about the headline without reading the story. But I saw it there that they were discussing the finances. Bruce, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Because I know you're in Lynchburg, and I know you've seen. There's about 58 colleges in Lynchburg, and you see all these young, bright kids espousing whatever, and they really sometimes don't know what the heck they're talking about, but they're for the cause, whatever it is. So this is a youth thing, right? And this is true about social media. How many people do you see are not at all cognizant of what they're endorsing, but they're still endorsing it, and it spreads, right?
Yeah. I watched the video for the first time today, but I've been seeing people, friends of mine, people that I follow on Facebook and Twitter and so forth, begin posting about it. So I'm like you. You said you hadn't watched it yet because you've been busy working. Well, I've been busy working, but I finally carved out about 30 minutes, I think is the length of the video, and watched it. I think it's, you know, and you understand that this fight, this battle has been going on for a long time, many years, let's say 7, 8, 9 years, and they've not been able to generate critical mass to really get this thing moving. They had talked with politicians before, so they decided, you know, okay, let's leverage social media. And when they did, it went crazy. And I think, you know, one of the things that happens if somebody that I highly respect and regard posts something about Kony, you know, 2012, then I'm going to be more likely to look at it, to watch the video, rather, you know, there's certain people I see post things and I see them go by all the time and I don't take the time to look at it. But when somebody that I have respect for does, then it gets my attention, and that's where I think the real power comes in. So, but yeah, I believe there are a lot of people who just, you know, they're just like salmon swimming upstream, and they just go with the flow and don't really think about it. But
which I'd like to say that I think that trustable, you know, people that you would traditionally trust, are also, you know, just like falling in line with this and not really, you know, fully understanding it. I'm not saying that this guy, you know, shouldn't be dealt with at all. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm not convinced that this invisible children group is doing anything productive.
Okay.
Well, and keep in mind, when you talked about the money and how much, what percentage is going where, they're doing so much more than just, you know, putting food and clothing on the ground there. They're doing all kinds of things with lobbying, stuff that cost a lot of money, you know, buying these big trucks and banners and things that they're hanging around.
They've made this guy a household name. All of us,
right.
people around the world are now
today.
aware of this guy. So, I mean, whatever they've raised has worked, because now there'll be a national conversation about this. So I think it's been very
How
effective.
different is this than what's going on in Syria or Egypt or...
People are being slaughtered all over the world.
conversation.
I'm just glad, you know, I just hope we don't, you know, invade there next. Alan, you got something to say if you're...
Yeah, what I think was interesting was, for me, I actually saw this scroll by my feed a good dozen or two times before I started hearing anything about it. And the reason why I ignored it the dozen or two times was because the people who were sharing it were just sharing it with a comment along the lines of, so touching, or so true, or I didn't know. And they weren't adding any value. And I think what we're going to start seeing eventually is people will become...
We need to get him one of those hats, like Al
That was
Franken.
the perfect moment. That was the perfect
Remember the
moment.
Al Franken hat from Saturday Night Live?
He used jazz hands.
The satellite dish on his head? We could get him one of those.
Yeah. But here's a quick point. We're talking about it this week. We won't be talking about it next week.
Well, I don't think that's true. I mean,
think,
maybe
you know,
it is. I mean, I'd be interested next week to see if we're, you know, talking about it. But
because I've seen this before. This has been on, like, Oprah Winfrey. This has been on, you know, people, you know, highlighted this man prior, right? And it's the first time that social media grabbed it. But, you know, we have attention spans of flies. You know, and it's going to be, oh, look, there's a new Old Spice commercial, you know, and that'll go viral, and people, you know, will be watching, you know, 20 million hits on it in a day, and then it's gone.
I think secretly Rush is behind the group.
I think Jeff is right.
Rush is behind the group to get Rush off the front page. So he's set up this Uganda thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I think Jeff is right, though. This is something that's very brief, very fleeting, and the next big social thing is going to show up on Monday or Tuesday, and it's going to wipe this off the page.
Let me ask Pam, totally off, not at all related to Google+. I don't know if Rush Limbaugh knows.
Is it related to Kony?
It's not related to Kony. What do you think? I'll give you two sentences. Then I want to know what you, because you're representing the 50+
all the women in the world.
Yeah, you are the representative of all the world's women on Google+ Week,
Great.
which is shocking because there's so many women who frequent Google+, but only one has emerged in the Hangout. And we applaud you for using your 3 minutes with us. But I just obviously, you know, the words he used were not cool. His overall argument is really just a basic, that's the Republican conservative argument that you would hear from a staunch Catholic, a traditionalist conservative Catholic, or any, you know,
drug addict, adulterer, right?
Oh. Yeah. But seriously, do you think it seems like a lot of it's just standard Rush? You know, that's why he's popular. He's very funny and smart, but he went over the line. He had his Don Imus moment. So clearly those two words, this woman was, you know, not at all either of those words from what we, you know, have seen and before and during and since her appearance. What are your thoughts on? It seemed to me they're like now. I think Carl Levin said that they should remove him from Armed Forces Radio, and it seems like, you know, he's apologized. He was wrong. He's suffering financially, and it's embarrassing. But does it seem like it's pile on, or is it well deserved? And go get him. What are your thoughts?
The truth is that Rush has said some pretty outrageous stuff in his career, and he does so, you know, he attacks Obama, he attacks every Democrat that he can come up with, and I just think it's rhetoric, and I just think it's Rush being Rush, and truthfully, I don't think he should lose his job. You know, I think he should get the little slap on the wrist that you know, some of the others get, but you know.
Wait, Pam, hold on. Tell me exactly what happened to Bill Maher for making his remarks. What kind of slap on the wrist did he get?
I have no idea.
Accountable, you know.
I have no idea because I don't watch Bill Maher. It's just the thing is that, you know, he's the conservative shock jock, and he really says some stuff that's just so hyperbolic that you're just like, what? This is just another one of those. He just unfortunately used some very inflammatory words to prove his point, and you know, and that's the truth. And I hate Rush. Let me go
That's
on the
funny.
record
You're defending him.
I am defending.
But don't you think it's ridiculous for Carl Levin to say we should remove him from Armed Services Radio? He's a popular and funny, intelligent right winger. Like Hannity and not so much anymore O'Reilly, in the same way that on the left side of the spectrum, I like listening to Rush as a former twice award-winning radio broadcaster, recovering radio broadcaster. I can tell you that he is the best out there, absolutely the best, regardless of what you think about him politically. Just the funny, quick witted, you know, like one time he said, like, you know, they're celebrating Obama's birthday in the White House today. Today's the day he was born, so they say. And then he just went, I mean, he's just funny, you know. And but Rachel Maddow is so smart on the total opposite side of the spectrum. And what's his name? We just went to Current. The crazy guy.
There's a bunch of them. Taking you
the crazy guy on MSNBC. No, let me be more. No, what's his name? No, MSNBC. He just went to Current. Keith Olbermann. Yeah, those guys are just as liberal. And as Rush is conservative. Rush is just better at being conservative than they are at being liberal, with the exception of Rachel Maddow, who is just a rocket scientist. She's not as funny, but she's witty and smart. Both sides have these people who are over the top. You know, Sean Hannity. I know him through email and stuff, but I haven't met him in person. But I watch his show. He's over the top. You know, he's a traditional Republican, Reagan conservative Republican, more of a mainstream Republican. He toes whatever the party line is, you know, and he believes what he says. So good for him. But I think it's just too much.
Don't you believe if there's a backlash that and people are piling on, there's a reason for that? It just doesn't. People don't pile on.
Jeff,
it's bent up. It's stuff that's over the top that has, you know, that just keeps on going.
How many of these ad reps actually read the whole statement that he said, though, Oleg? Doesn't this kind of get back to the other thing? Everyone's upset about two words, which were wrong. He should not have used those two words. But if you read the whole thing, even Pam will acknowledge this is tradition. This is typical 30 years of Rush. He just used those two words.
Yes.
Everything else was like,
And
how
and
many
wait a
people
minute,
are on
the
this
same-
bandwagon who haven't read what he said? Just like what Jason
But
is
you think-
saying
You think
about
it's okay for
his
advertisers
niece.
to pull their advertising dollars?
Absolutely,
No.
of course. It's why not? If they want to, they can pull. No question.
Exactly.
What was your
Jeff,
question?
let's
I'm
not
sorry, Jeff.
forget
What was your
that the
question?
media-
I said my question is, isn't it their right to pull advertising dollars?
Absolutely.
If their
But
customer-
everyone's freaking
if
out.
their customers are not happy with how that is representing that company and they've pulled their support from them, that's fine.
Absolutely, they have the right to do that. And frankly,
So-
would you want to be the last? If you're a mainstream advertiser like Geico or Coke or Ford, would you want to be the last advertiser left who's still, you know what I mean? You would jump on the bandwagon. But just like Jason was saying with this, how many of those advertisers have joined the cause and out of self-preservation, and they're not there because they necessarily endorse Rush. They might just as well be on MSNBC. They're there because Rush gets ratings, and having an ad there sells products. And then when he gets in hot water, they're like, whoa. And they didn't say we're canceling forever. They said we're suspending, right? But then it becomes this big thing.
Right. I mean, I'm sorry. You go ahead, Pam.
Look, a broadcaster is obligated to the company he works for, but at the same time, they're supposed to be advocates of free speech. And look, all these liberal. Now, I'm liberal, okay, but all these people that are jumping down Russia's throat are typing, kill SOPA, kill ACTA, free speech and all this stuff. Well, free speech until what? Until it insults you?
That's the thing.
It's absolutely
It's
ridiculous.
crocodile tears. It's selective
it's
enforcement.
Right. It's hypocritical. Yeah. That's right. It's hypocritical.
ESPN sports writer writes, "Chink in the armor, he gets axed." That's innocuous compared to what Rush Limbaugh
But Rush
was
is not.
talking, and I repeat,
Rush is a little more powerful
no.
than the 28-year-old kid
but
at ESPN.
But you're talking about hypocrisy, right? You're talking about the ability of people to be accountable. I'm not saying get rid of Rush Limbaugh, but eventually some things happen.
Frankly, I would
I would
disagree with you,
Ines
Jeff.
was-
The kid, I say kid, somewhere in his 20s, right? Intern who did good. He was about 28, I think. I would say, if someone knowingly used the word chink in the armor to refer to his Asian heritage, I would say that is far worse, in my opinion, than what Rush said,
What?
which was using
him
an
a
extreme
prostitute, a
term
slut?
to carry the logical conservative argument
No.
against government paying for birth
But-
control.
So
But Dan, he didn't just say it once. He repeated it many, many times during a 10-minute, 20-minute segment.
I think the big difference is it was a personal attack against one person. If he said everyone in college, every female in college who wants the government to pay for birth control is a slut, then that's one thing, But he didn't. He personally attacked someone. That's what makes it worse.
Well, he also he was trying to be funny, but he wasn't funny. What he was trying to do is he was trying to make the point, and he made it in his apology, because I read his statement and then I listened to him afterward, and he's like, this is a Jesuit college. This is a Catholic college. She knew it was Catholic. She knew they didn't that the doctrine of the Catholic Church, which is disobeyed by 90% probably of the members, but the doctrine is no birth control. And so why did she go to that law school if knowing that that's the policy, and then cause a big stink about it? Don't go to a religious school if you want to oppose that religion and their teachings.
It's not just that. How much does it cost for tuition to that school to go to that school? How much does it
versus what it costs for the pill?
Exactly. I mean, the whole thing is completely ridiculous.
But there is a thing. There is a thing to be said that a lot of some people, I don't know if it's 5% or 50%, whatever.
Okay.
Some women take the pill not necessarily for birth control, but because and obviously I'm not qualified to answer this, but for health reasons. It just I don't want to get. I mean, it's I don't want to get too detailed in this. I'm going to have my own Rush Limbaugh moment, and
No, but
I had a rough time a
basically, if
couple
you
weeks
really
ago, and
dwindle
I've
it
gotten off
down,
easy on that.
if you dwindle it down, Dan,
Yeah.
what it is, it's a way for left-wing media to kill the guy,
Exactly.
or at least damage him as much as they can. That's all it's about. It has nothing to do with the woman, whether she's a slut, whether she's wrong, whether she's right. There's nothing to do with it. Actually, Gingrich had an excellent comeback when he was asked about it. The whole topic is completely ridiculous. The guy said something, like I said, Marr says all kinds of stuff constantly. MSNBC, listen to MSNBC. And if you want to hear about slander towards the right wing, you just turn on that channel 24 hours a day. Rush does it 3 hours a day. They do it 24 hours a day. So it's, you know, I mean, and nobody slaps them or criticizes them or anything like that.
I know one thing that
But-
if you, Oleg, were on the radio 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, you would have these Imus Rush moments much more frequently than Don Imus and Rush Limbaugh do.
Oh, I couldn't even go an hour. I couldn't go an hour. I could never be on radio.
No, the
Never.
guy.
And then you should not have that job, and then that woman should not go to that law school, and then you know, you guys have that same. It's always the same argument. He has that job. He should be able to handle the position, right?
Yeah, he
So-
screwed up, but
He's
I'm
fine.
glad
He
Pam,
screwed up.
who is a liberal and hates Rush, is an honest, judge of all this. And yeah, he screwed up. He shouldn't have said it. The advertisers have every right to withdraw their ads, and to make
Absolutely.
whatever statement they want to make and condemn him for it, whatever. But I don't know. I just saw that thing with Carl Levin. You know, let's pull him from the Armed Forces Network. I'm just like, equal
Hey, Dan?
equal punishment should fit the crime. Jeff, real quick, and then let's go to
check.
Bruce, who's.
No, check the Justin TV chat. I think there's some.
Okay, I'll look
They
at
should
that
check
while
Armed
I.
Forces. If the Armed Forces don't want him, then they should take him off. Not because Carl Levin says
Bruce,
Right.
we're going to
Right.
go from the most liberal member of the panel to probably, with the exception of our Russian friend, probably the most conservative is Bruce in Lynchburg, Virginia, a good pastor, Bible-believing Republican, Rush listening.
Come on.
3 hours of his day is spent.
with the velvet voice.
Tell me
No.
what are your thoughts on this, Bruce?
I think it's much ado about nothing. It's as plain as the nose on your face. This is just an opportunity. The blood's in the water. The sharks smelled it, and they all came a running.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
Next
what
topic.
someone said real quick, let's move on, but someone said there's something in the Justin chat and there's too much for me to I'm trying to catch up. What were you referring to?
I don't know. I was reading the message that Anthony put in the.
It just we're turning it into a political show, and then
Yeah.
Pam's going to start throwing potatoes at the screen
Oh,
at me,
okay.
and tomatoes and stuff.
Pam's just happy we're not two in the tech weeds. Okay, so what's next here? What do you want? Which?
-1. Let's talk about
Okay,
-1.
-1. Oh, you want a -1 button, Oleg?
I really do.
Are you sure?
I
You
really do.
should be careful what you ask for. I would regularly visit your page.
I understand the consequences for it.
What do
I
you
mean, it works.
Oleg, what do you achieve with the -1?
Y'all argue
Well,
this out
it's
for a
what
sec.
it
Y'all
is,
y'all
Rick,
debate this. I'll be back.
Okay. What it is a while back I actually wrote about it, and I just posted recently about it. It's one of these deals where what they did, what Google did, and like I said, I love Google to death, but I will criticize them here and there a little bit, is they basically duplicated the like button that Facebook had. And the way I look at life, and the way all of us look at life, is that decisions are usually not one-sided. Usually they're either you're for something or you're against something. Either you want to eat or you don't want to eat. You want to go to the movies, you don't want to go to the movies. It's not just I want to go to the movies and there's no alternative. Okay? Binary system has a 1 and a 0. It doesn't just have ones.
But
Okay.
can't you? But
Yeah,
can't you
you're,
think
we're
about?
back to the Roman times, huh?
But can't you think about it as if you did not plus it, it is actually something you don't really care about.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying. Let's say you get a movie review as an example, right? And in that movie review you have 10 plus ones. Okay? What does it mean? It means that 10 people click on something that they obviously like. But how do you know how many people disliked it?
I don't want to know how many people disliked it.
Maybe you're going it off the people that you know.
Well, you still don't know. because there's no
you have
total.
them in your circles, right? You know who they are.
But you don't
what
know what you don't.
Oleg, you have a valid point there, but if you look at it from the perspective of a company like Google is aggregating all this information, do they really care about the minuses?
Well, they should. Why not?
Because
If
they
somebody
wanna
really
promote-
dislikes
they want-
something, I mean,
Because-
let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say they put out a feature. They say they put out a feature, and they get 10,000 plus ones. Does that mean that people like it or not?
No, there's a subtle difference there. So Google is looking at each individual, not just about how many plus ones for a particular. I agree, in search results to show up on the top, the number, the most clicked one, yes. But now that the social platform is already included in this, it also depends. When they want to do targeted ads on you, they want to make sure that what you like, right? They don't really care about what you don't like. So there's a subtle.
But you're talking about
I would disagree. I think they do care what you don't.
You're talking about, yeah, sorry, Anthony. I was going to say, you're talking about Google looking at my plus ones. I'm talking about looking at your plus ones and looking at that as an example of whether something, I mean, yours and Pam's, even Pam's, yes, and Jeff's and everybody else's, you know, it doesn't tell me the full story. I don't know if you like this movie, because 10 people may have liked it, 100 people didn't like it. It makes it a bad movie. But I don't see that. All I see is 10 pluses. And I'm just saying it's not a complete picture, and that's why I don't like it. I realize we use plus ones for a lot of things.
Okay,
we like it for... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now from a different angle, let's say you clicked +1 for Die Hard Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, right? Now Google is able to get an idea that you either like action movies or you like Bruce Willis a lot, right? So when you factor when you factor that in, now when an ad is published, it is actually targeted to you or the group. It's targeted to you, right?
It's targeted to me, but when I look at plus ones, I'm also looking at plus ones. Plus ones are not only for Google's benefit, they're also for my benefit.
Oleg, do you have a YouTube account?
Yeah,
do you post videos on YouTube?
I do, some, yeah.
Yeah. And how useful are those those don't likes and those snarky, nasty little comments? How useful is that to you? And does that change your behavior later on? I mean,
No, yeah, that's not the question. The question, snarky stuff is BS. So we'll put that aside anyway. It's not good for plus or for minus. I'm talking about just having a +1 or a -1 or a like and dislike to determine how really somebody, as a group of people, either likes something or dislikes it.
But YouTube has a minus, right?
Well, see,
they have a dislike.
I would go
How
to the
useful is
YouTube
that?
example.
Useful,
Yeah.
it is useful. It's useful to me.
Yeah, I mean, like if you get a video that has 90% likes with a ton of likes for the view number, that's probably a video worth watching if it is of your interest. On the opposite end of the spectrum, again, a high ratio of likes to the ratio of views. If there's only 10% that like it and 90% that dislike it, you know that you basically can just completely skip over it, or unless you're going to watch it for comedy.
Okay, what about
so I would
this?
say that the YouTube example works very well.
Anthony, what about they call it,
I agree with
guys?
Anthony.
They call it Google Plus. We all thought that was like it was an additional thing or better Google or whatever you want to call it. Maybe it really is all about the +1 button, because in the end, Google is an ad revenue generating business that has to pay the bills and meet shareholder demand. And the +1, maybe this vision, they saw the like button and they figured out how they could you could +1 an ad and +1 a page, and then in search results it would appear. Maybe this was all their grand vision from the beginning, and that's why they called it Google Plus, because it was all about that +1 button.
Or maybe they just basically copied what Facebook had and went with that.
Well, I mean, the old saying, I never met a good idea I didn't steal.
Yeah.
It's not that great of an idea, is what I'm saying.
I could fall on both sides of the fence. From a consumer standpoint, I probably would fall on the side that the plus/minus point of view. But from a business point of view, and so Google's point of view, it's probably not that great to introduce a negative button, or a thumbs down button, or whatever have you that is either you like or you dislike. I definitely think that there's instances where you would want a negative button, like if you don't like something, but you still want to say they just because you put a negative to it doesn't mean that you don't want to share the content, basically. But I don't think that I think that a negative button has go figure, a negative, whatever that you don't want to, that a big company doesn't want to put with their product.
Would there be value to Google to know what not to push to you in ads?
Exactly.
Right,
I don't think so.
I do. I mean, if for example, I think Gillette, razor blades, and I can't even think of the other major razor blade company, but I would almost go as far as to say I hate their razor blades. So I would give it I would give Gillette a plus, and I would give the other company a negative. And Google would look at that and say, oh, he likes Gillette, but he gave the other company a negative, so we're not going to push that company's ads on him, and we'll push Gillette ads on him. Whereas if I just put a plus on Gillette, then they don't necessarily know that I dislike the other company.
No, to me, it has the same exact meaning, except in the opposite direction of a plus.
But now, Google,
exactly the same thing, exactly the same sentiment.
Oleg, do you plus one advertisements or products, or
I don't.
do you plus one?
Not.
Hold on, do you plus one comments and posts?
Right.
So
and
it's
some
hard.
websites.
Yeah. So I find that it's hard for them to take the minus and use it in any kind of way, shape, or form for advertising.
That's the thing.
Well,
you don't want someone to negative something and then people stop spending money for ads.
Just like then you're changing reality. Dan is what you're doing. Okay,
but that's what it
you're
is.
Not being realistic. You're being I don't know what you're being.
But even if you
plus
post,
I may not like this product. So yeah, I don't want to see it, or I don't want to buy it.
Bruce, we should only
if
say
you plus
good
comments
things about
or you plus
ads, right?
post, you are identifying your demographic, and that has everything to do with ads too. So it doesn't matter whether you're plussing a product or whether you're plussing a post or a train of thought.
It could be as simple as if I get something from a spam mailer, and if they have a link down there saying click this to be removed from the list, you think I'm going to click that to be removed from the list? No way.
No.
But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm not even going to let them know or identify that was a valid address or whatever.
Right.
I'm not even going to look at it, right? So.
But Google is an ad company, and if we had a negative button on Google search, and let's say Schick, that's the other razor company, is paying for advertising from Google, I don't think Google really wants a bunch of people minusing their ad revenue.
But Pam,
you see, I see your point of view, but Schick also doesn't want ads being pushed to consumers that have no interest in buying the product.
Right. I agree with Bruce on the demographics, but I don't agree with how possibly you get a ad from Google. I think you get an ad from Google for websites you go to, searches you've made.
No, Jeff. That's exactly what they're using +1 for. They're using it to figure out.
I'm pretty sure they've said it.
They are. They're using it more and more.
Okay, so we all agree that the +1 button is absolutely fantastic, and we don't need a negative.
No. Until they change the look of it.
All right, let me look. In the interest of
I like the communist red.
I want to add a comment.
Right.
There's one more angle to this. That is, I mean, a lot of people might be comfortable, actually plussing or expressing what they like online, but how many are really comfortable what they don't like to tell the world that I don't like
Oleg is very comfortable telling us, offering any thoughts along those lines. Okay, real quick, Jorn111 in the Justin TV chat room. I apologize. I've neglected it because it's a million text messages. Apparently, there are questions I have not answered and or we have not addressed in the show. So if you will do me a favor, there's too many things for me to see while I'm trying to switch everybody and pay attention and try to hopefully move on to another topic. But if you could copy and paste any of the questions that we've ignored, and we'll do it. So I apologize. and we'll
Let's talk
jump
about +1, the new +1.
the new +1. Okay, I thought we've done 10 minutes, but we can continue. And
No, we talked about -1. Now they changed the look of the +1.
what do you?
Should I?
Yeah, real quick, I want to ask. I haven't seen it. Have they not pushed it to
Oh yeah,
everyone
no,
yet?
it's out. It's out. Absolutely, it's out.
Because like I just went to Dan's post about the show, and who cares what it was, but and I pressed the +1 button and it turned blue. It didn't turn red.
Well, it's because of Dan.
No,
because
that actually shows how invisible that button is.
But no, it's not red. They changed it. It was a dedication to Rush. They decided to change it because of all the anti-Rush stuff. They decided to change it to red now. And also they made it very thin. That was the little plug for First Lady, because she's on the anti-obesity campaign. So they changed the graphic to be very, very thin now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jordan. Jordan wants to know how to get new people.
You're going into Rush limbo.
Okay, not to suggest for a moment that all of our
And since it's
folks,
about birth control, there's only one.
now that we've done Rush Limbaugh and the +1 button, but Jordan is asking. Jordan is, I guess you're an RN, right? And her friends are leaving. Their Facebook friends are trying the service out. His or her friends, and they're not sticking around. And I see this too. I actually had a friend of mine who is a real friend in real life, and she's a Facebook friend, and she always gives me a hug when she sees me, and she blocked me on Google Plus because she didn't know how to, because I was monopolizing her stream because I'm just a postaholic, right? And so all she saw was all my incessant posts, and her friends from Facebook who were also on, she only had like 20 people circled, they would post like normal people, every few days or whatever. And so it was all Dan McDermott. And so she actually blocked me. So I picked on her about it. But anyway, I think that's a question. I don't know. This gets back to the 3 minutes. Is Google Plus right now geared for a niche appeal?
So
What, are we
Dan,
done with the red +1? I don't understand.
Oh wait, we got to go to Oleg here.
Dan.
Who's got his +1 button? He's showing us here, and then we'll
I
go
just
to
want to
Pam.
show Anthony. Anthony, do you get
Oh,
that?
it's a negative.
No,
it's a
I
negative
don't get
one.
that. I have the white one in the standard thing, and then it turns blue. I
Yeah,
could
mine
screen
too.
share and I could show you right now, but
No, it's okay. It's here. See mine.
steal
That's,
the
what,
Is that
dedication.
real, Oleg? What is that?
that's one of my posts. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so when you click on it, it turns red. It turns beet red, Anthony. It's anyway. They made it so it's a lot less intrusive on the screen until you obviously turn it to red, and then
It becomes extremely intrusive.
Let's talk about the Facebook thing real quick.
so,
Okay, Pam.
So this week, a bunch of people, my tribe on Google Plus, and I have been trying to figure out a way to get people engaged and how to change the culture of the newbies, from Facebook to Google Plus. The circle share, the suggested users list, and all this stuff. It's not really working because people really, when I first started here, it was a ghost town, right? And I got help by someone helped me out and basically held my hand and gave me tips and pointers and stuff like that. And I find that.
Hang on, Anthony.
gonna
Are
have
you
to
eating
mute him.
potato chips or something?
No, I was playing with mozzarella cheese.
Okay, let me mute. That's
Sorry,
okay.
I
No, it's
didn't
totally
know,
cool.
so.
Just mute your mic. Click on the top right, mute your mic, and then eat all the chips you want. Go ahead, Pam.
So we were trying to come up with a way of how do you get these new people engaged and how do you find out what it is they want out of Google Plus or what are they looking for and stuff like that. It's been pretty interesting. You get a lot of ideas and everything, and one of the ideas I had was adopt a newbie. So basically, you put 10 newbies in your circle, and they come to you and ask questions, and you show them people, and you comment on their stuff. You know, the people on the suggested users list have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're not circling new people. So no one sees the newbies posts. No one validates their existence here. You know, they validate our existence, but we don't validate their existence.
Well, they
and
need
I
to
think
earn
that's
it.
a big.
But
Yeah,
I think,
but the new people who have never been in this type of social network don't understand that. They want it to be like Facebook. I get 20 messages a week. Why follow me back? How come you're not following me back? I follow you. How come, they don't understand the dynamics.
But isn't that a
and I
problem
think
with
that
Google Plus rather than something that you should have
it
to
is.
spend time
It's not a
nurturing
problem
folks?
at
I mean,
No.
doesn't that tell you that there's a
No.
design issue or some sort of?
Sure there is. Sure there is.
No,
But I
that's-
mean, how many times do you send feedback to Google and telling them that this is an issue and nothing's being done? I mean, if 100 people adopt 10 newbies each, that's 1,000 new people. But where do we find the new people?
Well, let's
That's
not
the
get
problem.
into the whole adoption.
Yeah, I'm not
thing and
into
all that stuff.
adopting. I must
Let's just
admit.
look at it from a standpoint of what would you have them do, Pam? What would you like newbies to have when they come in by default, in your opinion?
I don't know, a guidebook. But the problem is that they have to go find all these resources and everything when they
All
first.
they have to do is go in one hangout and talk to people,
I-
and boom,
No,
they
no, I disagree.
You know what, Jeff? I have to tell you that a lot of people, myself included, this is the only hangout that I go into. I am not comfortable in.
Okay, I agree. Pam is totally right on that. I was once in a hangout. The guys tried to make sure that I'm as atheist that you can get. So there's tons of people
Are you
who
a believer, right? Yeah.
tons of very weird people in there. No, from Soviet Union, you're coming as atheist anyway. What I was going to say was this, Pam. If you go and do a Google search, and you can't tell me that people don't know how to do that, okay? You can look and see Google Plus for newbies, not dummies, newbies, okay? You're going to have all kinds of stuff come up in that search where people have guides on guides, and this is a post for newbies, and on and on and on and on, okay? There is a post from Harold, dealing with Vic Dotra talking about it. There's, a zillion different posts you can find on Google Plus for newbies. Okay? So my question to you would be, if they don't know how to do a Google search, they have no business being in Google Plus anyway. Okay?
You know what, Oleg? I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But the problem I see, I mean, even even a problem that I would have if I was a brand new user to Google Plus is, I don't know if I would even think of looking for that type of thing. Like if I go on a forum, I would, I'll do a search for
but hold
what
on,
I'm
Anthony.
looking for.
Anthony,
But I don't think.
if you walk into a car dealership and you want to buy a car, you have no idea about this car. What do? Do you just stand there waiting for somebody to come and tell you everything about this car, or do you actually make some effort to try to?
I don't know if
something.
I don't know if the new users would necessarily know that there is that information available. And I think that it would be the job of Google to do a better job on their Well, I mean, highlighting specific posts for the new users that are what Google would consider very valuable in teaching new users where they can, basically those posts that you're talking about. I know that those posts are around, and when someone that I want to stay on Google Plus comes around, I send them those links. But I don't know if those users on their own would even think of looking for that information.
No, but look, you're walking into, let's say you're walking into a party somewhere, you're walking into a group of people, you've never seen them before, you have no idea who they are. You can't expect them to become your friends by standing there and looking into the sky and waiting for them to say, "Would you be my friend?" It doesn't work.
All right,
that way.
let me throw it.
Yes,
I'm going to throw it to Sreek, who's surprisingly patiently waiting. But Oleg, I think if Pam has to form a support group for prospective users to get them to figure out and stay. There's
Google
an issue
Anonymous, yeah.
of some sort that Google has to address, right? I mean, we can't.
What do you mean address? Address in what way?
I don't know. Is
Shoot
it
the
like
food for people?
Is it like when? I mean, it shouldn't be like. In my
Well,
newspaper, we
yeah,
run ads with pictures of the dogs from the Humane Society. Please adopt, these pets, before they get the axe.
Yes,
You know?
ma'am.
People don't have the same personality as you. You have to be more tolerant of the spectrum. I figured it out all by myself, and plenty of you all figured it out yourself.
Exactly.
But some people require the hand holding. And what's wrong with providing that if I'm willing?
But
Again,
wouldn't it
going
be a
back
lot
to my
easier,
question to
Oleg,
you.
if they did it?
Yeah, hold on. Again, Pam, my question to you is, how do you envision the provision of hand holding? I'm asking you.
How can Google make it better so that these people aren't lost? Or is it, like I said last week, is it the Mensa of social networks, and it's not for everybody?
All right, let's not get back into the Netflix and last week and everything else. Pam, so tell me, how would you do it? How would you do it?
Well, what I currently do is, people who follow me, they ask questions, and how come you have all these followers and I don't? And where do I find, what does +1 mean? And how do I share something? I know where all the resources are because I've been here since July, but they've only been here for a week and a half. And to tell you the truth, the suggested users list and the welcome to Google
Sucks.
Plus.
We already covered that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you a question now. In July, did you know all this stuff or not?
When I first started, no.
Yeah.
I had
You
no
see,
idea. I
you
had
had no
someone
idea.
I had someone who put me in their circles and answered all my questions and handheld me, and that's the reason I'm here today. Marcus Smith.
Okay, so somebody held your hand and did it.
That's right.
Did you ask him for it, or did they do it by default?
A little of both. It depends on the question. I mean, what does it matter?
The question is, did you make any effort to try to get the information or not?
Yes.
Why
No,
shouldn't
well,
people do the same
Make a
thing?
quick point and let's throw it to Shriek and let's move on. That's my suggestion. Oleg, what's the? I mean, you don't think there's a problem?
bottom
You
line
think
is,
Google
let me
Plus
say-
is user friendly?
I look at it this way, very simple, Pam. You're eating spicy food, okay? The kind of food that I've never eaten before. If we're sitting together and I'm thinking about doing the same thing you're doing, I need to ask you, get your opinion on it, not have you chew it and then give it back to me so I can just take it, okay? It doesn't work like this. So if I make an effort to try to talk to you and have you help me out, then you help me out. That's
Okay,
all.
last word on your Oleg Pam debate, Pam, and then Shriek, and then Alan.
I completely disagree with him.
Well, I like the sound of that. That's a great last word. Okay, Shriek. wait, Pam. Say I negative one.
I -1 to
Oleg's
Oleg's
comments.
Which of course means that you agree with my -1 concept.
So he wins anyway, or fails to concede
Alright,
defeat.
so-
Not that there's much difference in there, because so the victor gets the spoils. Shriek, go ahead.
I think we are trying to imagine what Google intends with this +1 -1, but that's not my point. My point is, I believe when Google started this, they can now say that it's a social layer and they're connecting. Of course, I agree that they had this intention to connect all the products, but I'm pretty sure Google expected at least a lot of the family and friends, all these guys joining in as well. So whether it's intentional or not, they have now created a new social paradigm. Earlier in the Facebook era, I sound like 10 years back, but it was all about circling your colleagues, your friends, your classmates, your family. Now it's moved on. The new social behavior, like Pam was saying, is how do I say no to all these people who circles me, and how do I say no to them? You don't really have to. If you don't
Ignore
want to.
button. Use the ignore button.
You ignore. You don't have to. How do you think Linda Laurie with her 8,000 people circling her in a day is going to respond to that? It's difficult. So what I'm saying is this is a completely new social paradigm. There are people. I mean, I don't think Google intended this, but that's what's happening. I mean, it's like a combination of Twitter. If you add somebody, if you send somebody a message in Twitter, you don't necessarily get a reply. Or I would have got it from a lot of people all this time. Another thing is the new social paradigm is based on interest. People who like photography, that's something Facebook doesn't have. Facebook is completely based on friends, family, the same list I mentioned before. So I believe it is completely unintentional from Google's behalf. But now all these groups of photography is an example. There are so many other examples out there. It's marvelous. I remember in the last Hangout I mentioned this again. I don't really care whether my friends, family, etc. is on Google Plus. I'm having a lot of fun spending. Somebody mentioned 3 minutes. I'm spending like 5 hours on this every day at least. Just going through the feed, and the biggest part is it's highly interactive. I mean, whenever I post something or whenever I comment something, I get a lot of feedback. I mean, there is almost everything I am interested on already with just 100 million people, with 50 million people users active. That's fantastic for me. I just can't imagine what's going to happen if it's 400 million. Now, coming back to that 400 million, the fact that Google, Big Gandharva actually mentioned for the New York Times interview as well as today, I mentioned to Oleg earlier today, he kind of dropped the word Google 2, Google 2.0 or something like that. I don't know what he meant, but the point is the actual 100 million count is irrelevant anymore if Google actually thinks that this is a social layer across all its products. How many people use Gmail? How many people use every Google product? This 100, I believe the total number of active user measurement, the number of people signed up is total BS. It doesn't really matter anymore. Anybody who uses a Google product is actually a Google Plus user, right? So I think ComScore should just stop counting.
Well, I mean, you can criticize ComScore because they don't have all the data, but then, of course, if Google could simply give them the data or release it themselves, and then they wouldn't be speculating on this. Let me do some viewer comments in different places. I'm trying to watch all this stuff as you guys talk, running the risk of not paying attention to you. I try to do that mainly when Oleg is talking. Just kidding. Okay, Christian Marshall says, please mention Amplicate.com. This is Christian J. Marshall, Amplicate.com. It has both negative and positive votes. I use it, read it, and post to it. Reddit, I've looked at recently, and I see that rather than a +1, you voted up or down. And you can vote it up, and then you can vote it down later, right? Same thing. So, and then Kozi.
Look at Stumble Upon, another example of where they're using up and down.
George Kozi, the plus button is an endorsement button, not a ballot poll. You vote by watching something or not. Rickard Gronholm, a +1 button doesn't give you much information either, to be honest, because you have no way of knowing how many saw the shared item, how large a sample you had.
Exactly. Who was that? Who said
this is a comment on, here we go with Google Plus Week, a post on my profile.
Whoever said that, I'm shaking your hand. That's exactly my point.
And then he's saying, even if you did know, the result would still be worthless due to sampling bias. Christian Marshall, really, Google should be paying me for my time. Carlos Balderas, I still do not have the new +1 button. George Kozi, the problem is that some of the new users step into Google Plus as Facebook refugees and expect to find similar features to what they had. And then also...
Hang on. No. Stop at that one. Stop at that one. This goes to the point that we were talking about earlier. This goes to the point we were talking about last week. This goes to the point that keeps coming up over and over. Google Plus isn't Facebook, and the sooner we convince people, and the sooner we get people out of thinking like it is, the better off everyone is going to be.
Especially Google Plus, because that's the paradigm, or paradigm, as Sarik would say.
No.
That everyone's comparing it, as Oleg would say, to Facebook. I'm having I'm celebrating a Rush topic by mocking my international friends' pronunciations, which I adore. But no, seriously, I think that is right, Alan. They keep viewing it. Is it the Facebook killer? Can the Muppets save Google Plus? All this crap, comparing it to Facebook, when really it's different. But we don't know exactly where they're going yet. We're speculating, but we don't know for sure.
And here's the problem. This is why the suggested user list is a bad idea, and this is why Oleg's suggestion of getting people to come in through search is a good idea. And it's because Google Plus isn't Facebook. We've got to stop giving people the impression that it is. And the suggested user list only encourages that.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, again, what I said last week, what's the reason for the suggested user list? It's because it was an attempt, it is an attempt, along with the What's Hot list, to capture these Facebook people who are completely clueless about how to use Google+.
Right, but the problem is it's bringing them in and it's making them think that the way to treat Google+ is just like Facebook, when it isn't.
Right.
It's not the same in any way that Twitter's the same. And it is fair to make a metric because all of us can choose during the time that we have, you know, for our intellectual engagement. Twitter is not intellectual engagement to me. It is interacting with my physical local friends and family and the kids I knew when I was a kid in school. Twitter is where I get my news, and Google Plus is where I learn and meet interesting people like you guys, even Oleg. But like that's the difference. They're all different, especially Oleg. But yeah, they're all different. But so it is fair to do a metric like where you're spending your time because all of us can choose whenever we have time that we do our social networking or engagement or whatever buzzword you want to use this week. We're going to choose, you know, I spend a certain amount of time on Twitter because that's where I get like rapid fire news. I can look at it very concisely because that 140 character limit, and I can look at all the different sources, and then I go to Facebook every few days, and then I go to live on Google+.
There's a problem with that, with saying that it's an important metric, and here's why. Way back when Google started, Yahoo was the big hotness, and Yahoo had some incredible on-site metrics. And the reason why they had incredible on-site metrics is because you'd log into Yahoo and everything was there. You would have no reason to leave Yahoo. Google came along and they said, our objective is to get people coming to our site, viewing an ad quickly, and then leaving our site.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone said, that's stupid because you're going to have very low on-site metrics. And what Google said is, we don't care about our on-site metrics. We care about the number of eyeballs on ads. And they proved themselves right.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what are the better metrics to deal with right now? And I don't think it's time on site. I mean, I find it a little bit ironic that now Google is trying to make sure that everyone stays on Google as part of this effort. But I don't think it's time on site. I think there is a better metric. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping Google has an idea what it is. But you can't directly compare time on Facebook to time on Google+. They're invalid comparisons.
Okay, as we move to, as we continue on, 3 more comments here on the thing. I'm trying to do a better job because I was shamed.
I just want to add something what Alan said before you move on. I agree with Alan's comment on the suggested user list. I think it's absurd. Over a period of time, it becomes absurd. What I'm saying is,
if you were on it, would you say that?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. If
you were number 1 over a million, you were Britney Spears, but
then I'm a celebrity, Dan. That's what I'm trying to explain. If Google maintains a celebrity list, I'm fine with that. And you know, if you're going on and you say, okay, this celebrity is on Shriekman and is a celebrity, is an actor in Hollywood, yes, that's fine. But other than that, you cannot pick average people who are using. If you're a photographer, whatever you are, why put it on a list?
Yeah, the only person on the list who criticized it was Robert Scoble, who then asked to be put back on it afterward. I still love Robert.
I asked him when Google came out with 100 million users. He had close to 1 million users, and he said, "Don't you feel a little overwhelmed that actually bad that there is 99 million users out there who hasn't circled you yet?" And he's like, "I look at it as an opportunity."
Yeah, but you know what? It's quality over quantity. If you look at the people, once you have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever, you basically get the same amount of engagement as you do at 1 million, because a lot of those are just people who don't do it. They're just it's numbers. It's raw. It's those 3-minute people or less. It's the 10-second people. The people activating an Android phone who check it out one time, who go there and circle you, and then never use the service again, that draw all of us down into that 3-minute average.
Unless you can monetize it, as well as you don't really, what I'm saying is, if there is a celebrity list maintained by Google, I'm fine with that. but as an individual, it should not be biased. I mean, I agree. You know, there are a lot of people with 1 million plus followers, but it doesn't lead to any quality.
Okay, so
We're not
we
gonna
got
validate the list.
Jacob Chappelle. I apologize if I'm massacring your names. It's not intentional. It's unintentional.
It's
Dan.
Dan,
It's Don. Don messing up the pronunciation.
Dan.
Okay, Jacob Chappelle to Oleg. I think that a -1 would bring too much abuse. What would a -1 mean?
No. Slow down. Remember, -1 will work exactly the same way as +1. You can only click it once and you're
He's
done.
entitled to his
Either
First
click
Amendment
-1 or you
freedoms. Let me
don't.
read his speech, and then you can.
So it's not going to be any abuse at all, any more abuse than +1.
Okay, Jacob Chappelle says to Oleg, I think a -1 would bring too much abuse. What would a -1 mean? Does it mean you do not like a movie? Or does it mean someone dislikes a comment someone made? The -1 would not signify a dislike for that thing all the time. All a minus button would do is offer a new system for people to abuse and game the +1 system. And then Pancho Elliott says, here's a question. Do you think the Google fanboys like myself and others, like many of you guys in the Hangout, are sort of scaring the not-so-Google fanboys away? And then John Jensen says, because we can't follow, talks about what Pam was saying, that you can't follow everybody back. And, of course, once you cross that 5,000, the word follower I use, but really that's not accurate, I guess. Or I guess if your page it would be. But because we can't follow them after the 5,000. You simply cannot follow everybody back because they've got that 5,000 limit. And that begs the other question. If you look at this someone was talking about the unsung heroes, the folks who just have a few friends, folks like George Kozi in Holland, who has like 200, or I forget how many people. It's a small number. But he writes these brilliant posts. And folks like me and Sarah Hill, and all you guys, it's really intelligent, interesting stuff. And he's just like this Olive Garden lady who wrote the review. It's just something's going to explode because he's really an interesting, witty guy. And I try to share him, whenever I think it's got mass appeal. But there is that website out there. I forget what it's called, but it lets you highlight. Maybe Christian J. Marshall or somebody was pointing it out. But it lets you highlight, you can look by how many followers someone has. So like you can look at the most interesting or popular posts or people who only have less than 10 followers or between 100 and 200 and live in Pakistan or in Norway.
Circle count.
Circle count, okay. Great site, really interesting. And you find some interesting people on there. But you also find some folks who have over 10,000 people in their circles.
Like Pam.
Well, no, not have followed them. They have followed over 10,000 people. So is this something they did early on when you could game the system, or because I started Googling how to do that when I saw that, but there are people on Google Plus now who have 10, 11, 12,000 people who they have circled. Now, how do they do that? Because I came across, has the 5,000 limit been lifted, or is there some scam that they're running? I don't understand. Does anyone know about this?
Or is circle count broken? Or
maybe multiple accounts?
No, when you go to their profile, it says that. It straight up says that, Alan.
That number has been questionable for a very long time.
No, actually, it's. I saw this post what Dan is mentioning, and somebody had much more than the, what is it, prescribed number 5,000? Yes, it's more than that.
Way, like over double. I've seen several. And I just quickly found a few. I'm sure there are more than that, but the ones I quickly found. So if anyone knows, let us know in the comments that we're trying not to ignore.
Okay, with that, we got two situations going on. We got my kids screaming, and we got Anthony yawning. That means we need to bring this to a close.
I agree. So what have I guess we shouldn't recap all the topics that Alan missed. Did you want to talk about ripples, Alan? Because you disappeared in your...
You guys didn't talk about ripples? This is the best feature that's come along in ages.
Do tell. Let's do a quick ripple discussion.
Okay, one of the complaints that comes up every so often is somebody shares a URL, and it gets spread to one or two people, and then somebody else spreads a URL, and it goes around to a few thousand. And the person who posted first says, "Hey, I posted first," and there's all sorts of whining and so forth about it. The big new feature to Ripples is that Ripples now will also show you how a URL itself gets distributed around. So if, for example, I post something about the New York Times article, and 2 hours later Dan posts something else about the New York Times article, it'll show them as two separate circles on the same Ripple page. So you can see when people now post URLs. The reason why this is so awesome is because it starts tying back into Google's general mission of how to search things and how things are connected and so forth. Yeah. So we now have a social way to see how things happened on the web, which is an incredibly, incredibly powerful, an incredibly new and powerful way to do it. So Ripples have expanded beyond just what we're talking about on Google Plus itself. Ripples are now talking about everything that's out there on the web. And when you start thinking of it that way, you start going, wow, you can now track how everything on the web becomes important.
Is it showing the origin of this URL as such, or just from the point when you actually posted it on Google+?
It shows when a URL gets posted on Google+. So it basically starts looking at the entire web as a social platform.
Okay, so what do we have? Let's see here.
For Pam's users who are newbies, it's just a cool way to look at a bunch of circles on the screen connected with lines.
Okay. All right. Any the other stuff here? We hope next week we're going to try to get David David Vinjamori, who Sarik had lined up, but I guess his wife was in labor, so I don't know if and also he was traveling or something, so that didn't happen. But he wrote an interesting post. He's with Forbes. He's a contributor to Forbes, and he's a branding expert. So hopefully we'll try to line him up for next week, and he can tell us how his newborn's doing. What other stuff have we not hit on here? Apple releases an iPad. Putin becomes president. Gmail releases new loading progress bar. Three things that obviously have a lot in common. That has to be an Alan.
And obviously posted by Oleg.
Was that by Oleg?
That was an Oleg. It references Putin. It's obviously Oleg.
All right. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, basically the reference to Putin is like it's no big
obligatory.
Deal. It was expected. So it was kind of it's an incremental update. And same thing happened with Apple with their iPad 3. So we'll skip that discussion. But the deal about the Gmail is just basically like a joke. They added a new quote-unquote feature to make it more desktop-like, so it looks like a desktop application, where the actual initial loading bar is now in the center of the screen and has a different color. And I'm just amazed that that gets put out with information like it's some new piece, some sort of new piece of software or something. I just thought it was funny. So anyway, it's a non-event.
Okay.
Non-event that was posted as event.
I was hoping you would show us some new talent that your daughter had, but
no, not today.
It'd be nice if they sped up that loading bar.
Yeah, right.
Mine literally takes 6 seconds to load.
I think what we need to do for a future show in terms of cool stuff, Dan, is we need to do. I'll bring my drum set, and then you need to bring your mic, and then anybody else in the audience plays any instruments.
That's right. You forgot to mention Dan's new game. The
Which
new
one?
game that's on Google Plus that features Dan.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
Go ahead, Srik. Now is the time. Go.
Is it a?
Hey, you could actually sing like a couple of sentences. I mean, I don't know what do you call lyrics. I don't know, lines. Dad, give it a shot.
If you will reenact the scene from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the movie, what was it? What was the movie?
Slumdog.
Yeah, if you could reenact that scene, I will sing for you. I will sing for my supper. I lived in New Delhi. I may have lived there. How old were you when you left India?
I don't know. I'm not gonna tell my age, but
were you a kid?
No. I left India like 8 to 9 years back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I lived in New Delhi for 2 years, and then in Islamabad, and then in Dhaka.
Look at Alan's video.
Okay. All right. The last. Oh yeah, the tube here. Let me go over there. Oh my God.
You could give it a shot. You could either. You said you're pretty good with Candle in the Wind. If you couldn't try the other one. Just for our viewers' sake. I mean, Pam, you haven't heard him singing, right? Have you?
Oh my gosh.
The
No.
great thing about this game, and mind you, it's the only good thing about this game, is that you actually get to play Dan in a video while you're playing the game at the same time.
You guys, you have too much free time. Okay.
Mind you, I actually went and played the game, and it's a pretty bad game.
Well,
but
what would you expect?
The video component of it's pretty cute.
Okay. All right. The final thing, and let's lead with Pam on this. The final topic on here. We have a thank you feature in Google+.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you seen that, Pam? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I
guess
haven't seen it. I have no idea.
Is it on
what you're
Google
talking
Plus or
about.
Google, Oleg?
It's on search.
Yeah,
Dan.
it's on Google search.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I haven't seen it.
Basically, what happens is when you do a search and you're finding something that of value to you, obviously, then if it's on the component that has your people, I mean the search results from your people, they have a little thank you link, so you can actually thank somebody for helping you find the information you're looking for.
Why is Google becoming so emotional?
Well, it's because they're going with Pam's idea of helping these people, so it's kind of like they're trying to do the whole help thing.
See, Pam, Oleg's not so bad all the time.
Now Oleg is gonna say if you didn't like it, then you have to say no thanks. There should be a link.
No. I like the thank you feature.
Alan, I know you're very excited about this exciting new feature.
I think the thank you is a little bit silly, but the concept behind it is really sound. Once again, it's trying to bridge from search results into Google Plus so that you start talking about the search results and start talking about what you found.
Exactly.
And I think as that bridge, that's crucial.
And it's a lot more useful than the stupid masks, although I take back the word stupid now because I have a discussion with one of the people at Google. I'm not disclosed who, but somebody who knows what they're talking about. And there's
it was a public post,
reason
Oleg.
behind the madness. So I take back the comments about it.
No, it was a public post. We can talk about it, right?
I don't know if he wants me to talk about it. So
okay. More to come. To be announced. To be continued. We'll leave it at that. As everyone races to Oleg's profile to try to find what we're talking about. Okay. Any final Sreek Menon? Any final thoughts on this wonderful Google Plus week you'd like to impart as we get ready to conclude our official program?
Well, half of it was Google Plus political week. I mean, I think Alan missed it. So,
and I am so glad that I did.
Alan was going to weigh in support of Rush on his trip to Massachusetts on a boat with no internet.
But I thought this time, everybody was so fired up, and I'm not saying fired up, but possibly everybody wanted to talk, and it was really difficult to get your voice in there, but it was fun.
Pam, thank you for joining us. You hadn't been here in a while, and I had fancy graphics for everybody and actually skipped about 10 people, including you, because you hadn't been on for a while, and I thought you weren't going to show up, and so now I feel bad because the only female who was on the show tonight I've discriminated against with the fancy graphics. So I will make it up to you. I'll have like a serious glistening graphic next time you're on. So I apologize, but I'll have it ready next time for sure. But did you have a good Google Plus week?
I did actually. I'm on Google Plus all the time. Now I have a smartphone and everything. So.
Is it Android?
Yes, I have a 4G a Samsung Stratosphere.
Excellent.
Good for you, and always a pleasure to have you here. And you survived Oleg. Anthony, any final thoughts as you test out your new Hyper HD cam? Actually, your lighting's not that bad tonight compared to usual. Good for you.
Yeah, it's whenever I turn off the lights.
Even though the beer can is still on your...
it's not a beer can.
Correct, it is a stink bug trap. That's why it's been up there for 3 months.
It's a root beer can.
Did you have a good week? I got to pick on you.
I just like to say that I still have to use Firefox to use Hangouts on my computer. I cannot seem to go into a Hangout on my phone or my tablet. And on my tablet, I can only seem to use the mobile version of Google Plus. That and the application. So I have like 4 significant problems with Google Plus right now that are consistent.
And if anyone lives in the Rochester area and you have an affordable cleaning service, we'd like to. We want to hook you two up. I'm just picking on you there, Anthony. All right, what we got going on, Oleg?
Apparently somebody knocked on the door. Ben can tell you the story. Tell him what happened.
It was sort of an emergency.
Tell him.
There was my friends Elizabeth, Kate, my neighbors Elizabeth and Kate knocked on the door. I wanted to know what they wanted, and they said that that kids were in the hospital right now having this horrible disease. And they said they wanted money for medicines. They didn't want dollars. They just wanted coins. I gave them lots.
How many coins?
Yeah.
I didn't count, but it was a lot.
Wow.
Maybe 20 or 25.
My goodness. Hey.
15.
That's the next generation, Pam. Aren't you proud?
Get your dad to say Facebook for us. Facebook.
Apple. Next is Apple.
What's the funniest thing your dad says that makes you laugh every time you hear it?
Oh, okay. So.
Ben.
Well, sometimes when I burp, he says, "You're excused." Like you're excused from class. Like,
that's the funniest thing I say, Ben.
No, you got funnier than that. I just can't remember. What was one of the things that?
I don't know. No, you're on the show, so that's it. Okay, let's say goodbye. That's fine.
Now, see, we're getting on dangerous.
I remember
go
one.
ahead, do tell.
When I ask him if I'm right and when I'm actually wrong, he says left. So when you're wrong about something, you can say you're left.
Your dad's a good guy, even though
left.
he's kind of grouchy sometimes.
Oh, that no doubt there. But
you have two. You have at least 2
this
smart
kind of
kids we've met now, Oleg.
Nothing can break this.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What's your name again? Ben. Nice to meet you, Ben. I'm Dan.
Full name Benjamin.
All right. Cool. Awesome. We'll have to get a special graphic for Ben. All right, Alan. Last word on Google Plus Week. Final thoughts as you float up the Thames.
Up the Thames, huh? Now you've got me in a whole different country.
I lived in London too.
The big thing coming up is South by Southwest is currently going on down in Austin. There are a whole pile of Googlers there. I expect we're going to hear a lot of interesting announcements coming out of it. So probably not too much happening on Google Plus itself next week, but figure the week after, I think we're going to see a whole pile of things.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have. We're negotiating with a pretty interesting guest who hopefully will be joining us that we're both all looking forward to talking to. Okay, thank you all so very much. Let me be the first to use the new Google thank you service by saying thank you to my guests. And it's a wonderful show, as always. And Oleg, he's been introducing us to his adorable kids each episode. Another reason to watch Google Plus Week. So thanks so much. We really appreciate y'all hanging out with us.
Isn't he on a show?
Yes, he is. All right, y'all. That's it. We're calling it. Good night. Have a safe trip home.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Ben.